And thanks for being back with us here on the Hill. One child, when you see it, it is awful to see. It's heartbreaking to see. And then you see the numbers. I laid it out there, right? An obvious spike in the last 4 years, but still even tens of thousands at the end of the Obama administration, at the beginning of the Trump administration. So what gives you the sense that, yes, it'll come down, but come down to a level that you could view acceptable, for lack of a better term?
Well, I assume you're looking ahead to Trump 2.0. Frankly, I expect him to fully close the border, and that means not letting anybody in who doesn't have a legal ability to get here. That'll take a couple of months, but by the end of the spring of 2025, border crossings aren't going to be a news story anymore. The news attention and the work will turn to deportation. And, you know, these tragedies you're reporting on, I agree with you. Every single one of these is tragic, and they're heartbreaking. And letting those folks know they can't get in stops them from coming in the first place. We proved that with the Remain in Mexico program and other programs. You'll see that again implemented under Trump 2.0.
I think, though, Ken, there might be some folks who are watching this are saying, I hear you, I get it, I know what Trump wants to do, but to say that none of this is, that there will be absolutely none of this, there might be some folks saying, come on, that's not going to be the case.
Well, it'll never get to zero. But I fully expect, with his willingness to put the military on the border and turn people away at the border, not take them in, no catch and release, no detention, literally you don't come into the country, period, right off the bat. These issues don't arise when people aren't even allowed into the country.
Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico,
will get through here and there.
Yeah, Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of the leader of Mexico, is basically said earlier this week, I think yesterday morning in a press conference, no to the U.S. military inside her country. I hear you when you talk about the military on the border, but do you think the next step needs to be taken?
So if you're implying by the next step that the military needs to go into Mexico, no, I'm not implying that. But let's understand, we're sitting here in America looking south. In the lifetime of you and me, and maybe the whole history of Mexico, the Mexican federal government has never controlled all of Mexico. And the northern part of Mexico is under the control of drug cartels. They are de facto governments on the other side of the border that we all view as behaving like terrorist organizations, a combination of a terrorist organization and an organized crime organization. They control that territory. And Mexico is in violation of international law and has been for a long time by allowing its territory to be used to harm the United States. That has gone on for a very long time, and under the Biden administration alone, the Mexican government facilitated over 10 million people moving through their country to invade our country. And there are going to be consequences for that. One of those consequences is going to be that border is going to be sealed, and Mexico will have to deal with those consequences.
Let me leave you with this. I don't know if you heard it to start off the segment, but I played the soundbite of Eric Adams today, the New York City mayor, essentially saying, cancel me. I don't care. I'm going to sit down with Tom Homan. You give him credit?
Sure. And look, Eric Adams is a former cop. I think he has a better appreciation for what's going on at the street level than an awful lot of these mayors across the country who are talking tough. And, of course, they're all going to back down, whether it's Denver, Chicago, wherever. They're all going to back down. They're not going to stand in the way of federal law enforcement officials doing their job and implementing the law, enforcing the law, because that alone would be harboring illegal aliens, and it would be a violation, felonious violation of federal law, and they would be arrested. Tom Homan would love to start arresting those folks, and they'll be convicted because they're guilty under those circumstances. So I give Eric Adams credit. He's gone farther than others have in saying, look, I'm going to talk to these folks. I'm going to try to make my city safe. And there are ways for all of these folks to help make their American citizens and the people who live and come and visit their city safer by working with a Department of Homeland Security that's determined, first and foremost, to get rid of criminal illegal aliens.
Ken Cuccinelli, got to leave it there. Always nice to speak with you, sir. Thanks for being back with us. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.